What's good? It's your boy Julian. I'm back today with a mid-drop fade tutorial. I've been checking the comments to see what you guys are into as far as content, and a lot of you guys say you want to see haircut tutorials. So here we are today with my man Cardo. He's looking a little rough, but let's bring him back. So we're starting off with picking out the hair. This is one of the smallest yet one of the most important things you could do with the haircut. You have to pick that hair out so you can see what you're cutting. I like to start my fades off by putting a hard line in there with my clippers versus my trimmers, because it makes it a little bit easier to get that bottom line out once the fade's almost done. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit in the video. You'll see that line is going to just come right out. Now I'm just cleaning up that same area with my trimmers. I'm just getting the hair as low as I can before I hit it with the shaver. When you're using this shaver, make sure you're not going all the way up to the hair, because you want to leave just a little bit of stubble below that line so it could blend out easy. Now that we got all the prep work done, now we can focus on debulking and taking the hair down. So I'm using the number 4 guard, and I'm gonna just do half the head, so that's why I'm just cutting half of his head right now. So don't worry about the other side for now. Now before I put that first level in there, I can't stress how important it is to remove the bulk. You want to make it easier on your clippers, not more difficult. So I want to debulk every level that I go up before I put that next line in there. First, I'm going no guard all the way open. This is probably the most important level here, because this is the transition from skin to hair. So if you can get this part down, then I think the rest of the fade will be pretty decent. And here we are again. I'm just debulking before I go with my number 1. So I'm going number 1 closed down, and then I'm going back up on it with the number 1 all the way open. Now I'm just kind of flicking out here, just making sure I'm not getting too deep into that next level. Now, like I said before, this part right here is arguably the most important part of the fade, so don't be afraid to take your time here. Just making sure you're getting all the hairs, making sure it looks even. And in my opinion, the best way to make sure the hair is even is to wash the hair before the cut. It might take a little bit of extra time, but I think it's worth it. It makes fading a million times easier, it makes lining up a million times easier. It's just totally worth it, I think. And right here, I'm going no guard all the way open, just doing some cleanup work. I'm connecting these 2 sections, just making sure everything blends smoothly before I go to the next level. And again, like I said, this is like one of the most important parts of the haircut, so don't be afraid to take your time. You know, you'll get better at it as you go. You know, everyone has their systems. You know, I've even changed my systems over the year, but once you master that, you'll move pretty quick. Now I'm coming down on the hair with a 1.5 guard all the way closed, just debulking, just trying to make it easier on myself. And then I'm gonna come against the grain all the way open with the 1.5. And I'm just kind of, like I said, just flicking it out. You know, curly hair, you have to make sure that you're coming down on top of that hair by removing the bulk. You can't just keep fading up and up and up, because you're gonna take it too high. So you just kind of gotta, you know, just flick of the wrist. Just try to get that in there, not to go too deep into the next level. So I'm gonna finish cleaning up with my 1.5 guard, and then next I'm gonna go with my 1 guard, and I'm gonna go against the grain. I've come to find that that's the best way to get that line out that you see right there. So I'm gonna just keep working that line with the 1 guard all the way open. I don't even really have to go 1 guard closed, because that line is pretty much already blended out. So we're just gonna go straight to the no guard all the way open next. And here, like I said, I'm gonna just take my time. And I charge $60 for an hour appointment, so I can just take my time, you know. I wanna make sure I give my clients the best cuts. There's no rush. And plus, I've been cutting my man Cardo for years, so I know his head, you know. So I know where I can speed up by what points, and what points, you know, I could take my time here. And like I said, here we are, no guard all the way open. And this is where we're bottoming out the fade. This is where we're finishing everything up. We're bringing everything together. So we're going all the way open, no guard. We're going to work our way down. So this is my method, and this is just what works for me. So I go all the way open, no guard. So I go 2 notches down. So that's halfway. And then after that, I go the next notch down, and then the next notch down, which is the last notch. So I go all the way open, I go halfway, then I go to the next one, and then the next notch. Hopefully that's not too confusing. And then if there's a line left, I'll clean it up with my trimmers. But as you'll see, like I said, I put that line in there really soft with my clippers, so it was really super easy to get that line out. So I didn't even have to really do too much work. So I'm gonna just be quiet. I'm gonna let you watch for a second. Just let me just watch me just, work this line. Sometimes you might have to adjust here and there, but once you're done, it's going to be so worth it. Like sometimes you ever do a haircut so good, you sit back and look at it like, dang, I did that. Man, like sometimes that's just how I feel. And I hope y'all get to that level one day, or if you're not already there, but there's nothing better than that. So just take your time. You want to be proud of your work. Like I'm really proud of my work. I've worked really hard to get here. I don't like to rush my clients. So, like I always say, I'm gonna just keep repeating that. Take your time. And this is the point of the fade that I was referring to in the beginning as far as getting the line out. You see, I really didn't even have to use those trimmers to get that line out, but I just did it just for, little small details. It's the small details that all add up. So I just used it to get the little line out. And here we are with the 1.5. Just clean it up. Just doing some cleanup work, debulking, getting places that I didn't see before. And one thing that helps you see things that you didn't see before with your naked eye, use the camera on your phone. That really helps me. I don't always have to use that. Sometimes I don't even have time for that. But if you're a beginner, I think that's a really, really good tip. And now I'm just doing some beard work, just fading that line in. Then I'm going to knock his mustache down. And then after that, I'm just going to knock his hairline down a little bit. I don't want too much of a heavy taper on his front hairline, but I'm just knocking down just a little bit because he has curly hair. And it's going to make it a little bit easier for me to line it up. And same right here, what I'm doing, I'm just knocking down those edges just a little bit just to make it easier to line it up. But you want to be careful because you don't want to go too deep in there. And now you put a new line in the fade and then you've pretty much ruined it. So there's a delicate balance with that. And some clients don't like a taper at all. So one just little small trick, just use the comb to just lightly get the hair out the way. Nothing too crazy. Next, I'm removing this black face mask for my client. He gets this every appointment, so that's just an extra $10. Then I'm cleaning the hairline with some shaving cream and then a hot towel. This allows me to get some crispy shape ups without having to use color enhancements. Color enhancements should be optional, and it should be, an enhancement. It shouldn't be, your main source of getting a crispy hairline. So this is how I do it. Shaving cream, come back with a hot towel, put some rubbing alcohol, and then some holding spray. And then I'm just combing the hair down, just having it stay in place, and then you're good. Now here we go. Well, just sit back and watch. Now, if you did everything correctly, prepping the hairline, when you're doing these C-cups, it makes it a lot easier. So you're not having to push people back to get a line in there. Just lightly tapping. You don't have to do too much. You want to try to be on the more conservative side. Unless someone specifically tells you to push their hairline back, you want to be more conservative. And the best way to be conservative is by cleaning the hairline because it gives you a lot more control. The more clean and dry the hairline is, the more you can control it. Here we are again on the hairline, and I'm going real conservative. I'm going light, even so much so to where you can see the point in this hairline where it's kind of receded. But we're going to come back in there with some color enhancements, some light color enhancements. You don't want to go too crazy, because we are grown men out here. We don't just want to look like we're walking around with Sharpie on us. But here's the finished natural product before I hit it with the razor and the color enhancements. Next, I recline the chair and get the facial hair started. This is pretty straightforward. This is where, you do all your detail work. This is where you cross your T's, dot your I's. We're going to hit it with the razor next. So this is a good outline. So you want to have a really good outline to start with. And I'm just adding the shaving gel, and then I'm going to do the hot towel. This allows the hair to soften up. So when I come back with the razor, it's not going to irritate his skin as much. It really shouldn't irritate it at all. It should just glide. And just pay attention when I'm doing the razor. It's just going to pretty much glide. You see that how it's caked up like that? When we want to clean that off with the comb, wipe it on the towel, just go back over. You might have to go back over maybe 5 times or so. Whatever you think, helps you make it look clean. And I know some of you might not be as confident with your razor skills to be able to do these areas, but I feel like you have to start somewhere. Just make sure you're taking your time and stretching the skin. You always have to make sure you're stretching that skin. And when you get good at that, I feel like the razor, it just ups your game. It takes you to another level. I feel like most barbers are not really good with the razor. Like most are proficient, but a lot of them aren't really good. But if you get really good, you can take your talents to the next level. It doesn't matter what hair texture you do, mostly, because everyone needs the razor work. So that just brings a lot more detail to you. And you could charge a little bit more or whatever you want, however you see fit. So about 90% of my clients don't get color enhancements, but my man Cardo here, he does get color enhancements. And one thing I like to do is just go light. I don't want to go too heavy. I don't like when it looks painted on. I hate when it looks unnatural. So the best way to achieve that for the beard, in my opinion, I think you should use the L'Oreal Magic Root Precision Pen. And then that just helps me just be able to get in certain small areas without having to use a spray gun or anything like that, because sometimes you could easily overspray, which I kind of accidentally do here, which is why I didn't use that on this beard. And for the hairline, I'm using L'Oreal's Magic Root Cover-Up Spray. I like to use these over air compressors, because air compressors, they're notorious for getting clogged up. Now, I know they have other ones that they say get no clog and all that stuff, but that stuff is super expensive, and I'm not sitting here trying to experiment with $200. So I'll just stick with this, and it's done me pretty well. See here, we're just doing some cleanup work. We're pretty much finished with this cut. We're just literally just cleaning it up and then putting the curl wax in here. Got my twisted up. We're putting the curls in there, and we're just gonna finish it up. We're done here. And so if your barber does anything else beyond this point, that's because he is a perfectionist. We could call it quits here, but no, we're going to clean it up. We're going to get all these little spots in here. And there was one spot in here that was just driving me crazy. And so I have a little tidbit, little secret for what I do. I use my shears. I just come in with the shears and I just point cut it. Helps me get the weight out. You want to be careful though. You don't want to go too deep, because now you could put a whole new patch in there. You just want to go light. You don't want to try to do too much. So we're just going to just detail this work. This is where you earn your money. This is where you earn your tips. This is where people stick with you for years at this point right here. We're just going to take our time, clean it up, and here we go. Final product. My man Cardo, shout out to him. And that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Like and share this video and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much.